Mason frowns. We're all out of food. Marie jumps startled by the sudden yell, then nosing his trainer for food. I'm sorry, Meep, we don't have any food. If Faulkner... Mason sighs. If his father had known he was going to blame someone else for his mistake. Sorry, Marie. Mason returns his starter to keep the Pokémon from spending too much energy. It had been several days since he had been in Violet City. Fortunately, luck smiles down on the young boy as 3 hours after the discovery of no more food, Mason spots a house. The 10-year-old bikes over to the small house. When he knocks, the door, an elderly couple open. Why, hello, the old man greets. Mason, forgetting his manners, immediately asks for food. His speech is rushed, so the old woman asks him to repeat his question slowly. Mason calms himself and explains his situation to the kind old couple. The old man smiles. Well, come in. You're just in time for dinner. We made more than we need. You see, our granddaughter left a few days ago and we still are cooking for 3. The old man lets Mason in and they feed his Murray in the pasture. Mason spots other Pokemon in the pasture and questions if they should feed the other Pokemon. Oh no, I had just finished feeding them when you arrived. Mason nods and asks another question. You have a lot of different Pokemon. Did you catch them all? The old man laughs at this and explains that none of them are actually his, simply he's taking care of them for their trainers. The old couple let Mason stay the night as Azalea Town is still a 3-day journey from here. In the morning, Mason helps the old man feed the Pokemon. They then feed themselves. The old couple then give him food to eat on his journey to Azalea Town. They then give him an egg. Mason questions this, and the old man explains several eggs were found in a truck and given to us. We don't know what this egg will hatch into, but it's the only one that hasn't hatched. But we know that it will hatch into a pretty special Pokemon. And after seeing how you care for your and other Pokemon, we just know this egg is meant to be with you. Mason accepts the egg gratefully. Mason hungrily bites into a sandwich as he walks his bike. Mareep suddenly stops walking. Mareep? Mason asks the electric sheep. His starter softly says its name. Come on, Mareep, the 10-year-old encourages, but to no avail. Until the very reason Mareep is acting weird bursts from the trees, a cipher, and it's headed right for him. Mareep loyally knocks its trainer out of the way. Mareep falls to the cipher's quick attack. The raging Pokemon turns to Mason, who then sends out his second Pokemon, Onix. The Cypher and Onix go all out until finally both of them collapse, and seeing another chance to add another powerful Pokemon to his team, Mason throws a Pokeball, adding the Cypher to his team. Finally, Mason and his starter are at the door of the Azalea Town gym. Mason walks in and states that he's going to beat this gym. Hello, I'm Bugsy, the gym leader. Mason interrupts the green-haired boy, stating that he doesn't care, he just wants a gym battle. Bugsy, trying to keep his cool, states that this will be a 3-on-3 before sending out his first Pokemon. Kakuna. Mason laughs, thinking this will be easy, and tells his starter Murray to win this. The sheep takes to the field, and at the order of its trainer, tackles the bug. Mason takes no care to what Bugsy says, believing that all the bug can do is harden, but that is proved to be a mistake when Murray separates. A purple rash forms on the electric-type Pokemon's snout. Mason, realizing that his Pokemon is on a clock, calls for another attack. Bugsy just calls for a harden. After multiple rounds of this, Murray failed. Murray falls. Mason returns his starter and sends out his Onix. The Onix looks at him, yawns, and lays down. Bugsy then calls for a poison sting, and this lands and poisons Onix just like Murray. Now all Onix sees is red. Rock Slide takes out Bugsy's Kakuna and his Metapod. Then Bugsy calls Fairy Cutter as he costs his last Pokemon's Pokeball. Just like that, Onix is knocked out and the Scyther is standing tall next to his trainer. Mason sends out his own Scyther. This gives Bugsy excited until it becomes clear that the other Scyther is violent and rageful, as the Pokemon goes straight for the attack. With Pursuit, the other Scyther manages to stop the attack only to be met with a Razor Wind that takes it out. With that, Mason returns his starter. I'm giving you this bag not because you earned it, but because I have to. You have two Pokemon that don't listen to you and would be better off with someone who can actually take care of them. And the one that listens to you is severely undertrained. To Mason, that felt like a punch to the face. The prideful 7-year-old tries to pretend it was just the green-haired boy being jealous of how easily he won, but as he left the gym, he still had a bitter taste on his tongue. Mason finishes his sandwich, glad that this time he remembered to buy food before leaving the town. Now that dinner was done, the 10-year-old reaches for his backpack, but just after lifting it, he can feel that something is wrong. Looking in, he finds that the inside of his backpack is a mess. Fortunately, he had taken the egg out before putting the backpack down. Still, what happened? Then Mason realizes in the middle of the mess is a small Pokemon sleeping. It's a Teddiursa. Teddiursa? Mason then recalls what Bugsy said about his starter being undertrained, and he felt that this would be the perfect time to prove it otherwise. Murray! Thundershock! The move lands. The small teddy bear sleepily wakes up, looks at them, yawns, and goes back to sleep. Stunned silence follows this. The 10-year-old is forced to come to the conclusion that his starter being undertrained was in fact true. However, with the small Pokemon asleep, catching it should be easy. Mason happily bumps the ball onto the Pokemon's head, catching it. Fine then, I challenge you to a battle, Mason screamed at the redhead boy. Why does this boy always get on my nerve? The redhead boy agrees before they walk out of the Pokemon Center and onto the battlefield. Go, Onix! The rock snake hits the field and looks straight at the redhead boy. Mason sees something he has never seen from the snake, respect. The snake refuses to battle even after a powerful hit in the face from a water gun from the water tote Poliwhirl. With this, the snake is soon knocked out, and the boy tells Mason to send out another Pokemon as that was a sad excuse for a battle. Mason turns to his starter and tells the sheep Pokemon to win. A quick thunder shock puts the Poliwhirl down. Pathetic, the redhead shouts at the Pokemon angry. This infuriates Mason, who then shouts at the kid, saying he would love to have a Poliwhirl. The red-headed kid stops and looks at him for a moment before saying something Mason did not expect. Then why don't we trade? Onyx and Polly will both evolve through trade, and I have the items that are needed. The two boys agree, and so the redhead gives both Pokemon the needed item, and they enter the Pokemon Center to trade. Now let's have another battle, says Mason, believing that he will win now that he's got the stronger Pokemon. With that, they go to the battlefield again. But much to Mason's shock, the redhead's new Steelix not only listens to him, but is able to quickly defeat the Politode.
Mason, now with this new team, challenges Whitney's gym. The battle will be a 2-on-2, and with that she sends out her first Pokemon, a Clefairy. Mason chooses to send out his Politote despite its recent loss. Immediately, he calls for a double slap. Whitney calls for a Mimic. The two Pokemon go for the attack, but in the end, Politote is looking worse than the Clefairy. Then suddenly the frog Pokemon slowly gets up and starts to sing. Clefairy uses Encore, clapping loudly. Then Mason calls for a water gun. This doesn't work. He tries again, and finally on the third attempt, Politote manages to use the move, which almost lands, but Whitney calls for a metronome, and a hydro pump comes from the small pink Pokemon. Politote, still after such a hit, gets up, but a quick double slap takes it down. Mason then sends out Mareep to battle. He prepares to call an attack, but then Clefairy falls. Whitney then sends out her Milk Tank. Mason, being familiar with the Pokemon, calls for tackle, thinking that he'll be able to quickly win. And Whitney calls for defense curl, then roll out. The loss is swift.